You didn't give up. You took the step. You took the first step. You started, but then you started to sink, right? Let me go biblical on you, right? Peter. Peter saw Jesus walking on the water, right? What did he say to him? Peter said, Jesus, let me come out there with you. Like, let me come out there and walk on the water with you. Jesus said, cool, bro. Come on. Peter went out on the water. He was walking on the water. This is the thing that really blows my mind. A lot of people focus on the fact that he took his eyes off of Jesus and he started to sink, right? I focus on the fact that this man was one out of two people to walk on water. Like him and Jesus were the only two people to ever walk on water. He had the faith to just step out there and walk. And he could have kept going. He could have kept going if he would have stayed, if he would have kept his eyes on Jesus, if he would have kept his eyes on the vision. He could have kept going. But since he took his eyes off of Jesus, since he took his eyes off the vision, he started to sink. But guess what? Jesus saved him, right? He didn't drown. He didn't die. Jesus saved him and said, hey man, why did you lose faith? Why did you lose faith? What's up, fam? Before we get into today's episode, I want you to go check out our website at www.igotdreamspodcast.com and subscribe to our emailing list. We are creating the ultimate accountability group for entrepreneurs. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a business leader, if you are a dreamer, we want you to be a part of our group. All you got to do is go to www.igotdreamspodcast.com and subscribe to our emailing list, and we'll take it from there. This thing is going to be bigger than us, and we want you to be a part of it. Again, go to www.igotdreamspodcast.com and subscribe to our emailing list. Now, let's get back to the show. What's going on, good people? Welcome to another episode of the I Got Dreams podcast, the ultimate accountability podcast. I am your host, Mike Davis Jr. And today, we're going to have a conversation. Like today, like the whole point of this podcast is to get entrepreneurs to go from A to B, to just take that first step in accomplishing their dreams. So during these conversations, that's exactly what I'm going to help you to do, is to take that first step, to build that confidence in taking that first step. But before we get into that, like I want to know, how was your week? How was your week? Like, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on Facebook, just comment below. Like, let me know how the week went. Like, some of you guys might say, Mike, it was rough. I'm trying to take that first step, but I don't know what to do. Or, something happened with my family this week. So, like, what? How can I do that? How can I pursue a dream and have all these personal issues going on, right? Like, let me know. Like, we're humans, right? And so we're gonna be honest and vulnerable with each other. And being honest and vulnerable is actually going to help us to grow. It's actually going to again build that confidence up in ourselves, to realize that, hey, it's really that, like, I need to get out of my own head, right? And so having those open and honest conversations will help you get out of your own head. Like, yes, this situation might happen, but you know, I am committed to doing this thing. So, and I have a community. I have a community behind me that's going to push me to help me accomplish this thing, right? To help me accomplish this goal, to help me take that very first step. And that's what we're here for, right? So just let me know. Just comment down below wherever you're listening to this podcast at, even if it's on iTunes. Like, go to the review and just write a review, just telling me, how your week went, you know, whatever you feel comfortable with. Just DM me, let me know. Like I said, we're building a community. I will respond. I will respond. So with all that being said, I do hope y'all had a great week last week. My week was fairly good. Like, it was fairly good, I would say. I did have some challenges. I had some challenges, right? So one of the challenges was actually doing this podcast, like finding the time to actually sit down record this podcast, right? And so some of the challenges that I had, was just like I had an event to attend or I had a family member that needed my attention. But I kept asking myself, how committed am I to this thing, right? How committed am I to this podcast? And so what I kept in my mind is the vision, right? The vision that I have for this podcast. And the vision is for this podcast to be the ultimate accountability podcast where we build a community of entrepreneurs that are here to hold each other accountable to reaching our dreams and really just to take that first step to reach our dreams and hold them accountable to every goal that they set within that dream, right? So that is the vision for this podcast. So I really had to keep that in mind. And so that's why I'm here coming to you right now, coming to you today, because I am committed to the vision. And so that's what we're going to talk about today is the vision, right? So having a vision is really the first key that you need to take that first step, right? To go from A to B, to go from idea to execution, right? To just get started. You have to have a vision. So let's get into it, right? So why is having a vision important? I got three things for you. So the first thing as to why having a vision is because you have to know where you are going, right? You have to know where you are going. If you are driving a car, right? You just don't get in a car like without the destination, right? Like even if you don't know where you're going, you might put it in GPS, but you have a place in mind to where you want to get to, right? And so having a vision is important because you need to know where you are going, right? And why do you need to know where you're going? This is point number two. Why do you need to know where you're going? Point number two is so you don't get lost, right? So when you're driving, right, we're driving the vehicle, we're going somewhere, we're in a destination, like we got this destination in mind. So I need to know one, where am I going, and two, I don't get lost, right? So I'm saying that to say that your vision is really your map. It's your GPS, right? It is your guide. Like your guide. Like I didn't say God. Sound like I said a God, but it is your guide to where you want to go, right? And also, and this leads into the third point, right? You need to know where you're going, but you also need to properly communicate to other people where you are going. You need to know how to properly communicate that vision to other people, especially if you're trying to build a team, especially if you already have a community, like if you have a wife, if you have a friend, like you need to be able to convey to them, like, hey, this is the plan, this is the vision, this is where I'm going. So they don't look at you all upside your head and be like, man, this guy is crazy. Man, this girl is crazy. They may do that anyway, but you still need to know for yourself, where are you going? What is the vision? How am I going to get there? That's why having a vision is so important. And those three things is you have to know where you're going. Number two is so you don't get lost. And number three, so you can communicate properly. And so you also might be asking the question, well, Mike, I don't know where I'm going. Like, I don't know my destination. How do I develop a vision, right? How do I develop a How do I develop a vision? So I have three more things for you, right? So the first thing is to listen to what you are being convicted by. Listen to what you are being convicted by, right? And what do I mean by conviction? It's that thing that keeps tugging on you, that keeps pulling at you, that keeps saying, like, hey, you need to come in this direction, right? And you need to actually listen to that. And like, especially if it's something positive, not something that's pulling you like in a negative direction, but if it's pulling you into something positive, like there's more to life than what I'm currently doing. Like for me, for instance, right? I really felt that starting a business and entrepreneurship was really calling my name, especially starting this podcast, right? But let me take you back even before I started a business out of college, right? So when I graduated college, I was working in corporate America and I was getting very settled in my everyday life, right? And so I get a email or an invite to come to this group of entrepreneurs, and it was called, I think it was called the Society of Entrepreneurs. And so I got the invite and I went, right? Because I always knew that I wanted to start my own business. And so I get to this place, and I am really the only black brother there. And so, but that was cool. I met a lot of great people there. I met a lot of great contacts. And so I sat down, I ate, and the speaker started to speak, right? And so this speaker was actually phenomenal. He was a Chinese male. He was pretty dope, good at storytelling. And so I'm sitting there captivated by his story, captivated by his struggles and how he overcame them. I think he had two manufacturing plants that he built, and both of them got blew down by like tornadoes and storms. I mean, like he kept rebuilding and had a successful business with selling whatever product that he was selling at the time. So, but that's not the point, right? So, as this guy was speaking, right, he was speaking to the crowd. I'm sitting there almost next to him, and my chair is turned towards him, and so during his speech, or point in his speech, it was literally like it was just me and him. And he looked at me dead in my eyes and said, "Start a business, start a business, start a business." And I said, "Okay." I was like, just taken aback because I know like that was my purpose. Like I was already being convicted about that anyway, and he just confirmed it for me that that's what I needed to do, right? And so I was like, when I left there, I'm like, I'm just going to start. Like I have no idea what type of business. I have no idea like how it's going to turn out. Like I have no plan, but I knew I was going to figure it out, right? And so I was really convicted by that, and that was a sign for me to actually go out and start a business. And here's the thing, right? I know a lot of people are planners, which is good, right? Like you plan everything, like you plan like from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down to Z, and that is cool, right? But sometimes you may just want to go ahead and take the step and figure it out along the way, right? Because plans don't always happen according to plan. And sometimes planning out like that or just doing that that really causes analysis paralysis, right? Because let's say, for instance, I had this grand idea that's going to change the world, and I'm doing ample research about this particular product that I'm going to get out there, and it's going to change the world, right? And so I get to this point in my research where I realize, like, hey, this is this is going to require more effort than what I put in, right? So me doing that ample research will probably like give me cause to like stop, right? Because I'm like, this is going to take like years of research. I don't know what to do. I don't have the money to do this, and so I'm just not going to do it at all. Versus if I was just to take that first step, just create like something of what that product may look like if the minimal valuable product, and I always talk about that MVP is the minimal valuable product. So the basic function of whatever the idea is, if I just create that and get it out there and get feedback from people and then learn how to adjust along the way. And then when I come to this particular issue where let's say I need more money than I thought I could, maybe me go ahead and starting and have that minimal valuable product where people saw it already and they were interested in it, maybe then I would have found an investor by that time, right? Versus me just planning it out and realizing that, hey, it's going to cost this much. I personally don't have that amount of money, so I'm not going to start. Like, when you just start, you will figure out a way to continue. You will figure out a way to make it happen because really you have already committed to like some form of the product, right? Like you've got it first, you got it out there, you took the first step, you created this minimal viable product. Another thing is people have already saw it, so you kind of have a level of accountability there too. And so like now you got this issue to where you think it might cause you a lot of money, but like I said, you now have, I guess, a level of accountability to now push you to continue no matter what. Like, so you're not like letting that little thing stop you, right? And there are more ways to solve this problem than you might have thought about while you were in your planning session. I'm not saying that it's not important to plan, but what I'm saying, in my opinion, I think execution is better than planning. And then some of you might say, well, Mike, what am I executing on if I don't plan? You will figure it out. I promise you, you will. Like you will figure it out. Like how do I move past this problem if I don't plan for it? The problem might show up differently than what you are already planning for. But I hope you guys are getting this point, right? The whole thing is just to get you to start. The whole premise is just to get you going, to not get stuck in analysis paralysis. Yes, you're gonna run across problems. I'm not saying that you aren't, but I'm saying when you get to that problem, then you fix it. Like I know you guys have heard the saying that I'll cross that bridge when I get there. That's what I'm telling you to do. Cross that bridge when you get there. Because guess what? When you get there, you might figure out that there's multiple ways to cross it. Or like, you might take a car, you might walk, or you might not even have to go to that bridge at all. You might find an alternative route to get to where you want to be. But the thing is, I bet you won't stop. I bet you won't quit because you have already started, right? Versus if you just plan it, it's just you. It's just you in that planning. You don't have a community yet. You don't you don't have a level of accountability. All you have is just you and your thoughts and your pen and your paper and Google. That's all you got. But when you will start finding those people who are in your lane, who are entrepreneurs, who will hold you accountable, who will continue to push you, who will give you their advice or their expertise on a certain area that could help you solve that problem quicker than you just trying to solve it yourself. I hope y'all really get that. And I'm really trying to drill it in y'all heads to like just start. That's it. Just start. So how to develop the vision, that conviction. So that was the whole first point. Like follow that conviction and just start, right? Number two is to write it down. Again, that goes into like just getting it out of your head and putting it on a piece of paper. Like my vision is to do such and such and such. My vision is to have the number one accountability podcast ever. Write it down, right? My vision is to to be the number one motivational speaker in the world. Write it down. My vision is to help women serve their communities in a better way. Write it down. My vision is to help men be a better servant to their wives. Write it down, right? So write it down. And then the next point after you write it down, after you get it out of your head and on a piece of paper, is to test it, right? Test it. That's where the minimal valuable product come in, right? So you created the minimal valuable product, and now you get it out there and let people test it, right? So that's what I'm doing with this podcast right now. So I'm allowing you guys to test it. This is just the first iteration of the podcast. So right now, again, it's me. I'm speaking. I have guests on the show. Cool, right? That's the first version. I'm putting it out there, giving it to you guys, letting you guys listen to it, experience it, then come back and tell me like, hey Mike, I love this, but you can do this, you can do that. better. And so I take that into consideration and then say, okay, that makes sense. I'm going to do this because this is going to make me better and it's going to make the show better and it's going to create a better experience from your audience because why? You told me that you wanted it, right? So that's how I am testing it, right? So those are the 3 points to how to develop a vision. Let's go over them one more time. You listen to what you are being convicted by. Number two, you write it down. And number three, you test it. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. So some of you might be asking, okay, Mike, I got the vision, right? I wrote it down, right? I tested it, right? What happens if I don't reach my destination? Like, what happens if I don't reach my vision? What happens if I don't reach my dream? What happens if I fail, Mike? Man, what happens? What happens? So, I got three more things for you guys. So, number one, if you don't reach your vision, before I even get there, I want you to know that it's not over, right? Like, you still have life. It is not over for you. So I don't want you to go off in a corner somewhere, like feel down about yourself and just feeling sad about life. Like this for me, I tell you this, whenever I feel like I haven't reached my vision or I didn't reach the goal that I want to accomplish, I self reflect, right? I self reflect and see what can I do better. What could I do better next time? Like how can I learn from this situation? And when you learn from it and have that type of attitude towards it, you're not really failing. You're learning. And so when I joined this program for entrepreneurs, right? My homeboy Milton Stewart told me something very profound, and I will never forget it. And he basically said he heard this concept from somebody else, and he said basically is to fail forward, right? Fell forward. So not fall back, but fell forward. So that basically means like what I just said. Whenever you think that you have failed, like look at the lessons, like let it propel you forward rather than holding you back, right? And so I always keep that in my mind, like to fail forward. What lessons can I take from this experience, from me not reaching my vision, and apply it to the next thing, right? So when I do that, I'm not failing backwards, I'm failing forward, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm maturing. And that is number one, is if you don't reach your vision, you will grow, you will learn, you will mature. And that's what life is all about. It's all about growing. It's all about learning. It's all about maturing. It's all about becoming a better version of yourself. It's all about failing. It's about getting up. It's about trying again. It's about failing. It's about getting up. It's about trying again. It's about failing. It's about getting up. It's about trying again until you reach the thing that you're going after of, right? That's what it's all about. Like you're gonna continue to go through that cycle until you reach your vision. Because let me be honest with you, the first time you try it, you are going to fail. Like you're not going to make it. You're not going to reach that vision like that you had in your mind, right? For instance, I give you a great example, right? With this podcast, this is not the studio setup I thought I would have, right? Like the studio setup that I had in my mind was completely different. Now this is dope. Like this is dope for right now, and it's doing what it needs to do for right now. But this was not my vision, right? This is just again the minimum value of a product. So essentially, my vision that I have for this podcast like hasn't like it for the studio like didn't manifest in a way that I thought it would like right now, but it will. You know what I mean? It will because again, this is the first iteration of it. Like I I'm learning that I just need to continue to evolve, continue to evolve, continue to have different iterations of this thing. Like, again, my vision for this studio was literally to have like two chairs where I'm sitting in one chair, my guest can sit in another chair. We have our microphones onto the side of us, like hanging out, like, over our shoulders, where we can like talk to each other and hear each other, and it'll be a better feel from myself, my guest, and a better experience for you, right? That was like my setup, like in the like I will have lights. I was gonna have LED lights, like different colors and all that. It was gonna be a whole vibe, like an entire vibe. But guess what? This right here is a vibe too, right? And that right there, like what I just mentioned, like that studio, that's still my vision. Like I'm not quitting, but I am just learning from this. Like I wanted to create this, just this part of it. So again, minimal valuable product. I wanted to create this to get it out to. I wanted to create a studio to, one, get it out to you, to get your feedback, and really for me to find out how to start small, tell someone else how I did it, and I continue to evolve along the way. I continue to get better. So as I get better as a speaker, as I get better as an interviewer, my podcast studio is going to change. You know why? Because I'm going to get advertisers. I'm going to get like advertising to through like not LinkedIn but YouTube, through Apple Podcast. And so once I get those advertisers and start my podcast actually starts generating income, I can start I can start elevating the podcast experience, right? And this is all part of the learning experience. It's all a part of the testing, and it's all a part of growing, right? It's all a part of maturing. It's all a part of learning. Again, grow, learn, mature. That is number one, right? So again, the first thing that happens, like if you don't make it, if you don't reach your vision, is that you'll grow, you'll learn, and you'll mature. Man, that was great. I hope y'all are enjoying this conversation as much as I am. Like this is dope, and it's really it's a really great conversation. So number two is you will develop hope. You will develop hope. And like, especially if you put your best foot forward and and you know that there were some things that you could have done better, and you say, okay, there are some things I could have done better, and I'm going to apply that to the next thing I do. Now you got hope that you are the person that can now learn this lesson and pass it next time, right? Learn this Learn this lesson, pass the test next time. Learn the lesson, pass the test next time, right? So essentially, tying this back into point one, where you will grow, learn, and mature. When you develop that hope, you become a different person. You are not the same person that took that test the first time, right? You know why? Because now you have a different level of knowledge. You have a different level of wisdom that you can now apply to the next thing that you do, or that you can apply to the next iteration of your vision, right? And so that's number two. You'll develop hope. And again, I guess a little point, sub point of number two is that you're not the same person. You won't be the same person. You'll be a more mature, knowledgeable, and wiser person than you were when you started this thing, right? And this is number three, the final point of what happens if you don't reach your vision, what happens if you don't reach your dream. The final point is that you will not die. You will not die. Like life is not over for you. You still have breath. You still have ideas. You still have convictions. You can get up, learn the lesson, and do it again in a better way, right? Because you still have breath in your body. You can get up You can keep going. You can still make it, right? Let me ask you this. I know you guys probably may have heard this, but I want to ask you directly, right? If I gave you $10 million, would you take it? I'm assuming you said yes. You would take the $10 million, right? What if I said, if I give you this $10 million right now, you can wake up in the morning? Would you take it? I know you just said no, right? Mike, I will not take it. So that right there tells me that you value your life more than money. You value your life more than what money can buy you. You value your life more than material things, right? So you're not dead. So you can get up and do this thing over again. Like you can get up and do this thing better than what you did before. My thing is, look, you didn't give up. You took the step. You took the first step. You started, but then you started to sink, right? Let me go biblical on you, right? Peter. Peter saw Jesus walking on the water, right? What did he say to him? Peter said, Jesus, let me come out there with you. Like, let me come out there and walk on the water with you. Jesus said, cool, bro. Come on. Peter went out on the water. He was walking on the water. This is the thing that really blows my mind. A lot of people focus on the fact that he took his eyes off of Jesus and he started to sink, right? I focus on the fact that this man was one out of two people to walk on water. Like him and Jesus were the only two people to ever walk on water. He had the faith to just step out there and walk. And he could have kept going. He could have kept going if he would have stayed, if he would have kept his eyes on Jesus, if he would have kept his eyes on the vision. He could have kept going. But since he took his eyes off of Jesus, since he took his eyes off the vision, he started to sink. But guess what? Jesus saved him, right? He didn't drown. He didn't die. Jesus saved him and said, hey man, why did you lose faith? Why did you lose faith? And so, again, in this process of going after your dream and going after what you want, going after your vision, you won't die. But what will happen is you will you will be saved and you will learn the lesson, because not only did Jesus just save him, he asked him a question. He said, why did you have little faith? Right? He asked him a question. And so I bet if Peter would have had a second chance to walk on water, I bet he would have known to not lose faith again. I bet he would have walked a little farther, and I bet he would have just said, like, hey, I always had in his mind that I need to keep my faith up, right? And so that's what I'm telling you now, is to step out on water, to go after that dream, go after the vision. You will not die, but what you will do, you will be saved and you will learn. And you will be a different person than what you were before when you walked out there the first time, right? Because now you know better. You know what to do. You know the question you need to ask yourself, and you know the thing that you need to do in order to get you farther the next time, right? Man, this is good. This is good. This is actually blowing my mind, man. So I got a couple of questions from some people who just had questions about visions, right? And so I'm going to just answer them. This is going to be like a Q&A session. So one question that I had is there ever a time you need to change your vision? Is there ever a time you need to change your vision? I would say no. I would say no. So especially if your vision is your let me say this. Your vision is always like a lifelong goal, right? It's always a lifelong goal. So it would never change. Now, how you get there, the strategy you use to get to that vision, that will change. The strategy you use to get to that vision will change. So your vision never changes, right? So I will always have the vision to be the ultimate accountability podcast, to have the ultimate accountability podcast, to have the ultimate accountability group, right? And so, podcasting is a way for me to do that, right? That is a strategy, right? But let's say podcasting is not working for me, right? Maybe when I speak or when I have a group, maybe that's better for people to actually like listen to me and grow the group rather than hear me speak into a mic, right? So and I stopped podcasting. So that's not me changing the vision. That's just me changing the strategy of how I get there, right? I hope that makes sense and I hope you understand that. The second question is what happens if you reach your vision? So what happens if you actually reach your vision? Congratulations. Congratulations. Like you actually accomplished the thing that you set out to accomplish, right? That's amazing. Now, what you need to do is teach other people how you do it. Like, how did you get there, right? Because guess what? No one got to the top by themselves. I know you've heard of the whole cliche saying like I'm self-made and things like that. Nobody is self-made. Nobody. Everybody has had help to get them to the place that they are right now currently, no matter where that place is. Like you had help to get there. So your responsibility now is to help somebody else get to where you are. Like help another business, help another dreamer, help another person that has the same or similar vision to you, and teach them how did you do it, right? How did you do it? Like teach them, like let them know, like, hey, I struggled at this point, but I came out better on this point. Like this, I thought I was gonna die right here, but I didn't. What actually happened is I discovered another level. I discovered another level in my business. I discovered another level in myself. I discovered a level that I didn't think was humanly possible. And so what that does is when you share your stories of like this is how I made it, it inspires them to say, hey, when I run into this obstacle, when I come across this thing that I feel like this going to kill me, it's not really going to kill me. I'm just going to another level. Like it didn't kill this person. If it didn't kill them, it won't kill me. And that's how you really gotta look at it, right? Like they went through it. So if they went through it, I can go through it. I can get through it and I can be a better person on the other side of it. Like my business will be a better business on the other side of it, right? And so if you have reached your vision, my plea to you is to teach other people. How did you do it? How did you get there? Each one teach one, right? Another question is, and this is the last question: is there a difference between personal and business vision? So, is there a difference between your personal vision and your business vision? So, personal visions and business visions are similar in that you have to plan for them and you have to have a certain level of intentionality, right? So that's how they're similar. So how they differ is that personal visions are about self, right? So personal vision, I want to lose 50 pounds, right? So only person that's really going to affect if I lose 50 pounds is mostly me, right? Of course, it might have an effect on my family as a byproduct, but it's mainly going to affect me in the long run, right? So that's a personal vision. A business vision is actually about serving others, like solving problems for somebody else that's outside of you, right? It's not necessarily that you will get any value of it, but you like it's not necessarily that you will you will be the only one that benefit from it. Let me say that because you will get value from it, whether it's monetary value, whether it's a social value, whatever, you will get some type of value. But the person that you're serving will more likely get equal benefit or more benefit than you will get. So I would say that's the difference between personal and business visions, right? So y'all, this has been a great conversation, right? So just having this conversation has really inspired me to keep going. It really has pushed me to continue to come to you guys, to speak to you guys, to like continue to have these forward moving conversations. Hey, let's continue to press forward, man. Like again, the goal is to get you from A to B, to get you from idea to execution, just to get you to take that first step to reach your dreams, to reach your goals, to reach your visions, to create a better life for yourself, for your family, for your friends, and for people you don't even know, just to create a better world. Hey, remember to follow us on all social media platforms. I'm a little hyped right now. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'm trying to close this thing out. I'm trying to shut up, trying to let you guys log off, go home, and go and get ready to take that first step, right? To figure out what you need to do to take that first step, right? But hey, I'm your brother Mike. I love you. Have a blessed and wonderful day. Hey, again, remember to follow us on all social media platforms at I Got Dreams Podcast. If you're listening to us on iTunes, be sure to leave us a review and give us 5 stars, man. We will really appreciate it. It's gonna help us grow. It's gonna help us to reach a bigger audience, and it's gonna help us create more action takers, right? And that's what we want to do: create more action takers to get people to get entrepreneurs to go from A to B, to go from idea to execution. That is the whole goal. That is the whole purpose. But hey, I love you. Have a blessed and wonderful day. Peace. Bam. Thank you for listening to this episode. I know you just received a lot of value. So look, here's what I want you to do now. Go to our social media platforms on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok at I Got Dreams Podcast everywhere, and like, comment, subscribe to all those channels, and let's continue the conversation on there. Look, I told you before, we are creating the ultimate accountability group for entrepreneurs, and we want you to be a part of that group. So go ahead, like, comment, subscribe to our channels at I Got Dreams Podcast everywhere, and we'll see you there. Peace.